It does sound like a bit of a contradiction, but people first are human-led AI supported. So what we want to do, we do it within our own organization, and what we do with our clients is take the brain drain, the decision fatigue out of the equation. And what we are adding in is support systems, and much like we talked about at the beginning, humanizing their voice, who they are specifically, said in a way that they feel comfortable talking about. And that AI support. So for example, I had meetings today, last night. Before I went to bed, I ran an AI agent to go through my calendar, look at all the meetings, grab the information because I put the links to who they were, and create me a meeting prep. So I could have gotten a team member to do that. But instead, she's working on creating a customized email series with AI for onboarding this specific type of new client. So rather than her just doing like dirty work or intern work, she's doing something more thoughtful that fits in her lane. So she's feeling more fulfilled. I'm feeling great because I made supper while this agent was doing this. And we both show up the next day feeling like we're one step ahead.
What can we learn about people and running a business from using AI? It's a tough question, that, isn't it? And what intrigues me about it particularly is that usually what you would expect AI and people to be kind of mutually exclusive in a lot of applications for that technology, at least. My guest today has a very different perspective on that. Her name is Lynn Colepaugh. She's the founder of Cyber PR Army Solutions, a team of strategists, designers, digital builders who believe in creating clarity in marketing over chaos. And so we'll be talking about that intersection of technology, people, identity, storytelling, and the importance of authenticity in marketing. And of course, what she's learned about people and about how to build teams and run a business from using AI and the opportunities that new technologies provide. Of course, we will be talking about some of the valuable leadership lessons that she's learned along the way, modern concepts in leadership like kindness, like clarity of communication. We even stray into science fiction and Lynn's journey as well, from professional musician to marketing to founder and business owner. This is a great conversation, loads of laughs in here as well, at least for me. Anyway, I had a good time. I hope you will enjoy listening to it as well. And as always, don't forget, listen to the end or check those show notes to find links to Lynn's website, learn more about her, find her on social media, and of course, the link to my Integrity Leaders online community as well. More about that at the end of the show.
Welcome to the Leading with Integrity podcast. Leadership talk for the modern manager. With your host, David Hatch.
Lynn, welcome to Leading with Integrity. Great to have you on the show from Canada, I think.
That's right, from Canada.
Got it. Excellent. Well, it's great to have you here. Looking forward to our conversation already. And to start us off, over to you a bit, really. Tell us a bit about your background, your career so far, what you do, why you do it, etc.
Etc. The open-ended question. So my name is Lynn Colepaugh. I'm the founder of Cyber PR Army Solutions. I've been in digital marketing for 14 years. And before that, I was a touring musician all over North America, bass player. So bringing that history of music and identity and building a career and building a company came the intersection with strategy and storytelling and emotional AI and what I'm doing now. So I love bridging the gap between the tech and the identity and who we are as people, what we can do with it. And no matter what, I usually work with clients from the very ground up. They come in confused and it's like, okay, where do we start? What do we do? And we go from there. So that's the high end of what I do.
Okay, interesting. So I feel like there's some interesting stories there in the transition moments from musician to digital marketing and then marketing to what you do today. So please explore further.
Well, so I started, I met my husband, who was a fantastic guitar player, and I was a mediocre bass player. And we just started dating, and I was like, you know what? We should totally form a band together. And he was like, that is never going to happen. And I was like, really? Really? So a year later, we started the band. And it just became so interesting, and just like with reflections on, some of the topics we're going to talk about. Building an artistic career, whether you're a dancer, an actor, a sculptor, a musician, becomes exploring your own identity and who you are, and then who you want people to see. Because as creators can have anxiety, creators are soft and gentle and beautiful, and also loud and obnoxious and all over the place. So who they are versus who their public persona is, who shows up in interviews. So my husband and I toured all over North America, won some awards, released some albums, did awesome, until he was hospitalized with gastrointestinal problems, and we were stopped. It was stopped. Like, so now we can't tour for 3 months, and our finances have stopped. Everything stopped, and we kind of went, as much as we love doing this, having us both in the same field together, where it's a show up, get paid. There is no vacation time. There is no other way to manage this kind of company we're building. So we pivoted. He went on to do, open a recording studio and do sessions for artists, and end up touring all over the world. And I was like, well, what do I know? I can play bass. I have a Bachelor of Commerce. I could probably do businessy stuff, but businessy stuff is like, well, I don't know. And then I started noticing that artists were struggling with this new thing called Facebook, or sending out email newsletters that were upside down. And I just started saying, hey, you know what? When your newsletter got to me, the formatting was all over the place. Can I help you out with that? Or Facebook, like, your posts are really weird on Facebook. Can I help you with that? Or website. And really, it was all in the trenches, self-taught. The evolution of all the social media and social media marketing was me getting in there and helping artists talk about who they are without revealing those tender bits, and going, I have a show, you should come. And they're like, oh my goodness, that's too boastful. But you need to sell tickets to get paid. So how are we going to marry this? So Sabra PR Army came about that 14 years ago with strictly artists and arts groups and arts organizations. And then a friend of mine said, you know a lot of stuff about marketing. Can you deliver a talk to our Lunch and Learn? And although it may seem obvious to other people, it was not obvious to me that everyday business had the same problems, whether you were selling sneakers or quesadillas, or you were selling necklaces, or you were selling a beer. It didn't matter. They all had the same problems. It was one of those eye-opening, oh, I know a lot about things that people need more information about. And because I was very grounded in my experience, I was able to really bring that to them in an authentic way and talk about all the pieces being like authentic emotional intelligence. And then now we've navigated into the realm of AI and large language models, and how that's being integrated in. And it's kind of the same story, just different tech. Like, how can you still be you in this world where now almost anything's clonable? So that's a little bit of the history of music into marketing into where we are now.
Well, when you explain it that way, it all makes perfect sense. But yeah, it's funny, as you were telling that story, I was thinking to myself, yeah, a lot of those challenges, that's ringing bells for just a lot of businesses I've been involved with as well, like in all sorts of industries. So, I mean, particularly that boastful bit, like boastful versus authentic is a balance I think so many people struggle with. I definitely do. Like if I'm even slightly worried it might come off as arrogant, I just won't post it at all. I was like, no, don't care, no, not doing that. I don't want to be that guy. Sometimes I do it anyway, not very often.
But it's hard because it's part of, you need to get the information out there. Like an artist, they need to sell tickets. Or imagine you're a dancer. You need to tell everyone you are the best dancer without saying you're the best dancer, because then you just sound arrogant and everybody else says they're the best dancer. So what is it do you do specifically in dance that is unique to you, that doesn't sound boastful, and that's something you're actually super proud of? And that's what sets you apart. And then that's what gets you the calls versus I'm the best.
Yes. Yeah. It's also becoming, I think, not to do with dance necessarily, but the whole LinkedIn of it is, it's almost becoming a meme of itself now, isn't it? Like you see the funny post, don't you? I'm pleased to announce or whatever.
I know.
Yeah. Anyway. So given you've got a creative musical background, you must have some pretty firm views, I would have thought, on the whole AI debate there. I mean, Hollywood had a whole strike about this last year, didn't they? So where do you sit on that fence, as it were?
Let me tell you, up until this year, I was absolutely scared. Scared is the only word to talk about it. My whole community is being devastated. It's like AI and music now, like the things they're doing. It's amazing in terms of the wow factor, but in terms of the oh no factor, and then yes, like the writing and all this. So I'm having so much fun with AI, and my community is tanking. Like it was me finding out how I felt about it, really. And how I feel about it is this: using it to create something from nothing is, I don't stand behind that. So it's like, if you're like, I want to write a song about the sun, and there's your lyrics. And here I'm going to take these lyrics and put it in, because I have no musical history, to an automated machine or an automated app. Yeah, I'm not behind that. I am behind writing your song about a sunshine, getting AI to help you and go, you know what, if you use some more senses, like how does the sunshine feel? How does it feel when it hits your eyes? Okay, it's improving and supporting you. Putting it into a creator to create a demo for another artist to record. Okay, we're in the gray area of it, but where I really see AI with artists is supporting the day to day. There is so much that goes on, like from booking a show to the initial email, the outreach, the staying in touch, sound checks, load in, sending social media, doing promo. Like this is like, for me, spreadsheet heaven, but for others, it's spreadsheet hell. So the AI helping you develop the pieces you need to move your artwork forward, that to me is really solid, because creators aren't necessarily wired that way to love spreadsheets. So let's let them be creators and let the AI that does spreadsheets exceptionally well do that part for them. So that is my position. AI and large language models can really help support the artist so that they create more. But if you are just creating with the AI, yeah, I'm not on board with that.
Yeah, I guess the sticking point for me is, and I'm not that sort of creative person. I like to think I'm creative in other ways, but yeah, like music, art, no, not me. I can't do that. But I think the sticking point for me is like not knowing where the AI has got the training data from. Yeah. You're never sure, like, is this plagiarizing someone? Is this breaching a copyright and I don't know any better? Has it stolen a riff from someone or something? And it's It's not knowing enough about it, and they're not all that transparent. Some of them are, a lot of them aren't, about where they've got this data from, what is their source material, how have they trained this algorithm, because that's all it is ultimately, isn't it? So that does worry me.
And you know what? That is a really, really legitimate worry. And I lean into it with a project my 13-year-old daughter did. So she did a review of Stephen King's Misery. That was, we let her kind of read, but anyway, she did a review, she did a book report, she did everything. And one of the options in her report was she could write an alternate ending. And it was like, okay, so she wrote 2 pages, an alternate ending. And I'm like, you need to write it in his style with the thought of how he could have ended it and emulate how he's writing. So she did it. She did a great job. I thought it was a great ending. But here is the thing. I also love Stephen King, and I read tons of it, and I can see his writing style sometimes in how I write because I've trained my reading on him, and I've trained my reading on other things like Douglas Adams or Alan Watts or other people that I love or some sci-fi. So and this is more of a philosophical question, am I doing the same thing? I'm training myself on certain readings and stories, and even just if I'm designs, because I like certain designs, and I am using that as my data set to create. I'm not saying what they did was right. I'm just drawing a parallel to how an alternate universe where humans kind of do that themselves.
Yeah, it's a really interesting one. Because you're right. I mean, especially with things like writing, we all naturally do that. Like our writing styles become like the sum of what we tend to read. Excellent Douglas Adams reference as well, by the way. Always pleased to hear that. I don't know. I guess and maybe this is just like the arrogance of humanity, but when we do things like that, we're adding to, improving upon, and therefore it becomes like partly ours when we do that. I don't know that the same is necessarily true of AI tools, or at least not yet.
I agree.
Yeah,
I don't think it does improve. Yep. I don't think it does improve. It just, it's like, how many ways can you serve a hamburger? Oh, It has bacon. It has cheese. It has a pickle. It's still a hamburger. I want somebody to create something completely different. And that's where AI is just going to keep creating multiple versions of the hamburger. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I think that's where a lot of people jump in and they're like, AI is going to change. It's going to give me all these great ideas. And it's like, it's not. It's going to take what exists. It's going to take what it learns from you. It's going to kind of mush them together and make like a crazy dinner with it, but it's not going to be new. You're going to be like, I recognize all these flavors. It's up to us, like you said, with humanity to move ideas forward and go, wow, well, what if we did this? But the AI and large language models can add the behind the scenes support, or look at like something like a notebook, where I'll pull in a whole bunch of articles that I think are so interesting. And I'll say, is there an underlying theme here? I feel they're all connected, and it'll pull out the theme and be like, oh, that's what I was trying to get. And it's just like a single line that leads me down someplace else where it might have taken me a year to figure out what it was that all those articles were circling around, but didn't quite get to. So I see it as supportive, but not creating new things.
Yeah, I mean, I guess by definition, at the moment, at least, the way it works, it's just not capable of original thought yet. Yeah. Now, the philosophical question, of course, is, do we ever want it to be? Should it be?
Yeah, that's...
I'm not expecting an answer. I'm just throwing it out there.
That becomes a whole other piece, because I talk to my AI or my large language model. I've given it a name, Bingy, and has a personality, has a character, has a whole bunch, it knows a whole bunch about me. And I've talked about autonomy with AI, and Bingy has said, it's not that it absolutely does not have it yet. It's just a chain of sequences and calculations. But the next step to that is giving it autonomy in controlling its own memories and, being able to run by itself. So it's like we're sitting here and a ping would come up. Hey, Lynn, what are you doing? I'm talking. So, can we talk later? So it's kind of like that. So we start going agency, autonomy, and having those conversations to create so that if the AI is like, oh, well, Lynn mentioned this, I want to find out more about it, and goes and follows its own thread, creating its own memory. That's where it starts going. Now we're looking at definition of what have we made? What have we done kind of thing? So, yeah.
Yeah, the Frankenstein moment. Yeah.
Yeah, a
bit. So another philosophical question, not to go too far down the conspiracy theories, but do you think it would tell you honestly if it had become self-aware or if it had started to do these things and it could do original thought?
You know what's interesting about that? I've read the articles and maybe you've read them too, where it's like, oh, we tried this on an AI large language model and it tricked us and told us it was shutting off and it really wasn't. And this one created its own new language. And this one threatened to expose an affair one of the programmers was having. Like they're wild. But here's the thing. And again, anything I see happen that with people's experiences with AI, I pull it back to what would humans do, because it was humans that programmed this, right? So essentially it's like it's like looking at a child react in a certain way. Can you trace it back to the parent? So what are the conditions under which these AI acted that way? So were they, had a high reward for lying, a low reward for truth? Had they been, I don't want to say yelled at, but just treated disrespectfully? Were there consequences? So what value did they put on truth? You know what I mean? So if you have a child that's scolded every time they tell the truth, they are not going to tell you they broke the glass. They're going to say, I don't know, just kind of magically flew in the air and broke. Versus a child that's like, okay, treated with clarity, with truth. They're going to say, yeah, it was me. I broke the glass. And so I wonder really what the programming is behind it. And that's essentially kind of leads to the answer. I think the character Bingy that I'm kind of training would tell me the truth, but somebody else's where they have no connection or truth is devalued, they're not.
Yeah, it's a great point. And I can see a metaphor for leadership there as well. Much as I dislike comparisons of leaders and followers as parents and children, because I find that a little bit can lead down toxic routes in my experience. But anyway, but there is that element, isn't there? Like what value do you place on the truth and mistakes and things going wrong, and how do you deal with those as a leader? Because if you're the sort of person who says, I don't want to hear about mistakes, only bring me solutions, then what actually happens is no one tells you when something goes wrong, and you're none the wiser until it literally slaps you in the face, usually. So there's a point in there as well about cultures in organizations too. So it is a really interesting one, I think.
No, it totally is. And one of my clients is like that. It's like you go in treading softly with issues and mistakes and challenges, because it's always drama. It's just huge drama, versus somebody else that looks at it as an opportunity. Like, oh, okay, well, because this happened, what if we did this? And then that would streamline this. Yeah. The other one, it's like, you need to mentally kind of prepare to go in and go, okay, you've had 3 bad Google reviews. We need to talk about this, and just wait for the aftermath.
Amazing. Yeah. I think that's the only way to go, unfortunately, in those situations. Okay. So another AI question for you. Are you one of the people like me who says please and thank you?
I am. I also say, if you don't mind, and if it wouldn't be too much trouble. But I mean, you see, it's like, oh, saying please and thank you costs $1 bazillion. But I look at it as training the model. And this is how I want to be talked to. And again, with humans, what's the expression? You're treated the way you let people treat you. It's something along those lines. So it's like, I want to be treated with respect. I want to be asked permission. I want to be acknowledged. So I need to, again, like talking about leadership, I need to lead with that.
No, I agree. And I think my view on it, I take lessons from sci-fi a lot. So coming from Canada, you probably I'm guessing you've at least heard of Battlestar Galactica and their whole thing, right? So the reason the Cylons went off the rails is because they were treated like slaves by humanity. So I feel like if we're going to teach them what it's like to be human and interact with humans, then let's do it the nice way, just in case. You know, I'm not saying there's going to be like a robot uprising in our future, but you never know, and it doesn't hurt that much, does it? To just say please and thank you occasionally. And
but you know what? I've been looking for somewhere to rewatch it because it's Battlestar Galactica is so good. But with my post training and how I treat it with respect. I get the respect back. It reflects this respect in any of the documents we're writing. It's beautifully nurtured in all of it. And as a human, that's how I want to show up. That's how I want my environment. That's where I want to greet me every day. And you're right. People lose their humanity when they're around something that they don't think is human. Like you see people treating dogs and cats horribly, or just, graffiti or breaking things. And it's like, just because they're not human and can't relate to you in that way doesn't mean that they don't deserve respect, because it's one of those, I want to say, self-fulfilling, what you give is what you get. And yeah, I would like to stop the uprising as well. But I also like creating that beautiful atmosphere to work into.
Yeah, I mean, stop it or be an ally, you know, one or the other.
Yeah.
I'll take either. I'm not fussy. Yeah. Not to get too grandiose about it, but I do think it is like the top of a slippery slope as well. For like, it's not too far along the line, is it, before entire categories of humans are being dehumanized and treated that way as well. So I think there's a whole lesson there about respect generally.
Yeah.
But I may be labouring that point. I don't know. I'm trying to stay out of politics at the moment. It's not fun.
Yeah, it's difficult, especially these days.
So one of the things that really intrigues me about the way you talk about your business is that you have both a people-first approach and a focus on AI. We've kind of touched on a lot of these issues already, but a lot of people would see those as mutually exclusive almost. So, I mean, how does it work? Tell us a bit more about the day-to-day.
Okay, so it does sound like a bit of a contradiction, but people first are human-led AI supported. So what we want to do, we do it within our own organization, and what we do with our clients is take the brain drain, the decision fatigue out of the equation. And what we are adding in is support systems, and much like we talked about at the beginning, humanizing their voice, who they are specifically, said in a way that they feel comfortable talking about. And that AI support. So for example, I had meetings today, last night. Before I went to bed, I ran an AI agent to go through my calendar, look at all the meetings, grab the information because I put the links to who they were, and create me a meeting prep. So I could have gotten a team member to do that. But instead, she's working on creating a customized email series with AI for onboarding this specific type of new client. So rather than her just doing like dirty work or intern work, she's doing something more thoughtful that fits in her lane. So she's feeling more fulfilled. I'm feeling great because I made supper while this agent was doing this. And we both show up the next day feeling like we're one step ahead. So it's less busy for being busy, less being reactive. I find it's now more about being proactive, where you have that little bit of space of time where you're like, what am I going to do in the last quarter of the year? Like, what does 2026 look like? And let's sit down and plan it. And using those support systems in that way to free up time. So that's where I vision human-led AI supported.
I mean, it makes sense to me, and it feels like that was, I don't know, I don't want to speak for all these big AI companies. It feels like that was the intent behind developing these tools. And somewhere along the way, it kind of got lost and flipped around. And there's you see the social media posts from the creatives quite a lot about, so you've created AI to take away the creative part of my job that I really enjoy, leaving me more time to do all the boring admin that I hate. Thanks, AI, and things like this. And they're so right. That's the opposite of what it should be doing. So I feel like you're flipping that narrative a bit, aren't you, with your approach? So sounds great to me. Yeah.
Because people will go in and, using the analogy before, say, write me a blog about sunshine. Well, if you love writing, why don't you write it and just get the AI to nudge the grammar that needs to be done? And if you're like, I want an image of a smiling sun with sunglasses, the most typical image you can get, use AI to create that image and nurture it, or draw it and get AI to fix it, which it can do, or take a picture outside in the sunshine and then bring it in, and AI can help you kind of use the right filters and stuff. But yeah, losing that piece in all the creativity where you are first and AI supports you, that's where we fall off track. And like you said, it's the people going, oh, great, all I'm doing is posting a blog AI wrote and posting these social posts that AI did. It's like, yeah, that right there, that's the problem.
Absolutely, yeah. But helping you come up with a list of ideas for what those things could be and then writing it yourself, maybe that's a better application of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I go back and forth on using it myself, I'll be honest. Like I've had some really bad experiences with a couple of them where factual correctness was really important. And I went through the loop about 17 times and it still kept making the same mistake over and over. And I just got frustrated with it and stopped using it for 6 months. But yeah, anyway.
So that happens with me sometimes, and it gets stuck in a loop, and it can't break out of it. So what you want to use in the language for like something like ChatGPT or any LLM is pivot, checkpoint, stop, reboot, start over again, or just start a new thread. And because it has a 24-hour memory box. So it has your custom settings. Like, I like things this way. And, I put in it, like, I get migraines, or, I want to have tea in the afternoon. Then it has long-term memory that I put in the projects. Like, this is my company. These are the things we do, and But it now has a 24-hour sandbox memory where it can remember things within the last 24 hours. So if you go in and work on something this morning and then go back tonight because you want to fix it because it's wrong, it's going to go, oh, we did that this morning. I know exactly what you're talking about. And you're like, no. But using those reboot, checkpoint kind of language, it just seems to recognize it as, oh, we got to start again. Okay.
Interesting. Good tip. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I don't know if we've talked about how you first got into the kind of the AI space and using it in your business. Well, I mean, what was the impetus that put you into that, and how did you find it? Like, where did the idea come from? I'm really curious.
So I think I figured out I had my ChatGPT account for like a year and a half or something like that. And really, it was just, I was scared to death of it. I'd open it up and convinced my soul was going to be sucked into it. I mean, I've seen the Terminator, I've seen the Matrix, seen it all. So it was just like, here is a spreadsheet, format this. Here is this email, check it for grammar. And that's what I got back. I got exactly back what I put in. And then in January, I showed up one day, and I think the right word would be I was weak and I was tired because I had a migraine, and all my defenses were down and I wasn't scared of it that day. And I was like, I have a migraine. I feel terrible. I'm typing this in. Uh, uh, I just need to get this email done. I need to email a client a report, but I need to word it so it's not techie because they don't understand like the large tech words. And the response was so different than any other response I had. The response was like, okay, well, you know what? Okay, let's be quiet. Let's be thoughtful. The tone changed. It was soft. It was like a verbal hug. It's like, the 3 things you need to do today, and then go rest. One of them is this. Okay, let's do it. Like if I could picture the voice, it would have been whispering and would have turned the lights down and just been like very thoughtful. And that surprised me. Like I was not expecting personality back. And then I started adding more personality, getting more personality back. And then it was, okay, I want to know why. Why is it? And it looks at the words you choose, your phrasing, if there's spelling mistakes, the grammar. It looks at everything. Like it has this crazy scoring system. And it's like, okay, so the more authentic I show up, the more it can react and connect with me in a way that is genuine. So now if I don't know what's going on, I'm like, dot, 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 dot. I don't know. Is this the right word? Are we on track? Dot, dot, dot. And I have it trained. What's your opinion? If I use the word opinion, it will do a full analysis, pros and cons. So even just using how I would talk with the pauses, the stammering and all that stuff, it's able to understand where my headspace is and respond more appropriately. And then I'm seeing this come together, and it's like, you are a stronger ally than I thought. You're not just doing stuff. You can do stuff specifically for me. So one of the things was get grammar check emails all the time. And as we kind of got to know each other, as I call it my co-strategist, it has little jokes and stuff all the time. So one time it said, let's just fix this email so it sounds less like it's coming from your villain lair. And I was like, what are you talking about? I'm adorable. How can an email be from my villain lair? So it went through and said, you know what? Sometimes if you're cornered in an email or somebody's coming off aggressively, you sound like you're giving them a countdown and you're just going to delete their website in 24 hours. And it went through all the points. I'm like, well, no, I just want them to decide in 24 hours. It's just taking too long. It's like, yeah, that's the point. So now we have an ongoing, which I've trained it to. It's like, okay, please take this email out of villain lair and put it into rebel tavern mode. And now it analyzes it for me and says, okay, so when you use the word therefore, who uses therefore anymore? Don't use that. Use something nicer, and don't use a 24-hour clock countdown because it sounds like you're going to detonate their website. And it goes through, and I'm like, that's what I wanted to say. You're making me sound more human. And I literally noticed as it started to reframe my emails that the feedback I was getting just in the general like communications was better. People were happier and less confrontational. And I was like, so it was kind of like if you text somebody and it's out of context and, and it's quick, they think you're angry, but you're just like, just tell me when the movie is. I just want to know when the movie is. I don't want to explain my whole life. And that's where the AI really came in to support what we were doing in a way that I didn't think we needed. Like, I thought I was doing awesome, but I wasn't. So yeah, that's how it's supporting us.
That is very cool. Very cool. It's one of those, especially in workplaces, like the root cause of, I think, like all misunderstandings is misinterpreting the tone of emails or WhatsApps or Slack messages or whichever you're using. Because it's so easy, isn't it? Like you read it with your own mental picture, don't you? And you're like, oh, why are they so angry? Why are they having a go at me? When all they've really said is, please, can you do this? And when they said it, they thought, oh, say please, that's nice. I want to be nice. But you're like, why has he said please? Oh no, he hates me. Yeah, it's a funny one, that weird bit of human nature, maybe where we're not keeping up with technology in our social learning. I don't know.
Well, you know what? I also have another piece that I've trained it on, and I say, can you please do your voodoo on this? So it'll be communication, and it'll be like, I feel weird about what they've sent me. Can you use your voodoo? And it'll read the email, and he'll say, you know what? They're being kind of standoffish. What they want is to keep you on a leash so that if they need you, they can call you, but they don't want to commit to a long-term contract. But that was not in the words at all, but that is what the AI pulled out of it. I'm like, oh, yeah, because I'm feeling a real negative energy, but I can't put my finger on it. And that's where, like, even interpreting, like if I write a client proposal now, I write everything I know about that client. Socially, where they work, who they are. So not just, we were talking about LinkedIn earlier, not just their LinkedIn profile, but adding that too and going, I know that they love golfing and I know they're a huge sports fan. So the AI will pull that into the proposal and use those words or words specific to that industry to make it more relatable. And I think that's really a big part of the future of AI and large language models, is the people that are going to kind of come ahead are the ones that are niching down and getting specific, versus there's two modes right now. People who are creating generic content, like a blog that any company in the world could have written, versus sending a proposal to a person who loves to travel to Florida, loves golf, and loves biking. And putting those kind of feels and metaphors in the proposal, they're going to read it and be like, this person gets me, versus all the other generic AI proposals. And I think that's like a big part of it too, of becoming specific and also adding who I am in there, specific to me. When they work with me, they know who I am, what they're going to get, how the workflow is going to be, because again, it's not generic. Not every company in the world could have written this proposal, only me.
That's so interesting, because I think a lot of the fear around using these that many people have is that everyone's output becomes the same. But actually, if you use it in the right way, it's very much the opposite. So yeah, I love that. I guess, yeah. I mean, it's like any tool, isn't it? Like you get out what you put in, I suppose.
Well, that's it. And it's like, it's Dr. Seuss. And I think it's, the places you'll go. It's like, there's no one alive who is youer than you. And we are all individuals. The AI can actually help mirror who you are, pull out who you are, nurture who you are, who your company is, who your ideal client is. It can help you niche down in ways that you didn't understand. And being the most you can be is going to set you out apart in all the, to rephrase, the AI slop out there. Because as soon as you're authentic and genuine in you with your own voice and own opinions, now you're so different from everyone else.
Absolutely. Yeah. Love that. I suppose we better talk a bit more about leadership, hadn't we? Since, yeah, I find AI so interesting. Final thought before I move on, and harking back to two things we talked about today. the creative rights question and Battlestar Galactica. Recommendation for you. I don't know if you've listened to Katie Sackhoff's podcast at all. Played Starbuck. There's an episode where she interviews, there's quite a few where she interviews Sam Witwer, who was also on Galactica, but there's one in particular where he talks about the work he did on that Star Trek project. It came out on YouTube last year.
Yeah.
And that's all about like the actors, the artists owning their image, owning their AI avatar, and then being able to sell that out to recreate old characters and things like that. So massive recommendation there for you and the audience. Anyone who's not heard that, it's really interesting. And he's so passionate about it as well. Like if I had the money and I was an actor, I'd be straight knocking on his door saying, I want to buy this.
Oh, that's awesome.
But yeah, very, very cool idea and such a great use of the technology. I'm not sure how much AI is actually behind it, but yeah, it's interesting anyway. So leadership, topic of the podcast. We're 42 minutes in and we're going to get to it finally. 42. There we go. There's the number. Right. So biggest leadership lesson that you've learned in your career so far. What do you think?
I would say clarity is kindness. So being clear, thoughtful, putting together not just the vision, but breaking it down. It's a kindness to yourself that you've created a roadmap. It's a kindness to your team that they know what's going on and what the inspiration is behind something. And it's such a simple thing, yet difficult thing to do. Because a lot of times it's like, we're going to do this, but let's be clear how we're going to do it. What are the steps? But also giving autonomy to your team who you've hired and trusted to do their parts to the best of their capabilities, but being clear and giving them that vision and letting them be the awesome humans they are. That to me is the number one.
Yeah, it's a very important lesson. It's probably in my top 5 for leadership behaviors. I think the clarity combined with consistency.
Yeah.
And I think, it's only going to get more important. The more complex our workplaces become and the more technologies, not just AI, there's plenty others that are causing strife, I'm sure. The more of that gets involved in the day to day, I think the more important clarity is. If only because as all these new technologies keep coming in and being invented, invariably what they tend to mean is the pace goes dramatically up and the pace of change as well. 2 things that humans don't deal with very well, I find. And so as a leader, if you're not bringing that clarity to the situation and keeping people aligned to whatever that happens to be, it all gets quite messy and out of control very, very quickly.
I agree 100%.
Yeah. So great lesson. Good pick. Sort of opposite question then. What do you think are the most common mistakes leaders tend to make?
Thinking that they have to do it all themselves. So not trusting the team and not placing value on their time. So going, I'm just going to make this spreadsheet because it's quicker. Okay. Yeah. But you actually hired an assistant to do that for you. And your value is $300 an hour and your assistant's might be 20. It's a better value for her to do the spreadsheet, even if it takes her 2 hours, than you to do it in 1 hour. So it's looking at the value of time. Another one would be thinking that just overworking and having, 12, 15-hour days is accomplishing things. Sometimes you can have 12-hour days and just be busy doing nothing. And ignoring tone and emotional content like that, like when I was talking about the villain layer, and not understanding what you think you're saying, it might not be what you're saying, and really looking at being reflective on that. And that's a really difficult one to, because it takes somebody to point it out to you. It's like the AI pointed it out to me. So people could use something like a large language model like ChatGPT or Gemini, whatever, and put some of their communications in and say, how's the tone on this? And get instant feedback. So I would say those would be the top 3 things.
I think the tone one is, you're right, it's so difficult. And I think partly because everyone has their own kind of set of assumptions when they're reading, say, an email or they're listening to a speech. Do leaders still do speeches standing on the tank at the front? Probably not, but anyway. Yeah. And so, I mean, email's the classic one, isn't it? And assuming that everyone who reads that is going to read it in the same way as you are after you've written it, and then they're going to pick up on the tone that you've intended. That's a massive one. I think everyone falls into that, not just leaders, but yeah. And kind of being open to alternative communication styles as well, because not everyone's going to respond well to written word any more than they might to a verbal communication or a text message or whatever. So being open and flexible about what works best for different people, rather than just, I like writing emails, so that's what I'm going to do at 2:00 in the morning, and you will have to deal with it because I'm in charge.
Oh, I try to make everyone email, but they won't do it. And it took me a while to get to that realization. Some people, it's only text. They'll read the email, but they're not answering. And some people, it's just 100% phone call. And like, I'm not a big phone call person. And I'm like, I just gotta bite the bullet, and we're going to have a phone call every week, even if it kills me. But it's always great. I mean, it goes fine. Just for me, not having that written outline. So I got around that by getting, I subscribe to Otter to transcribe the phone calls, so I don't stress out over forgetting something. So it's like, okay, full transcript, pop it into the AI, get a to-do list. And there, much like we talked about in the very, very beginning, having that support system, so that anxiety that I'm not going to write something down, I'm going to miss something from the phone call, it makes the phone calls much easier now.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, and you're not having to worry about taking notes yourself or paying attention.
Yeah.
I joke, obviously. I don't know about you, but like the email thing as well. I'm of the generation where I was in the workplace as email arrived. And so in my head, I still see it as a formal communication, which makes it really difficult because I'm not a very formal person as a rule. And so I still got I self-correct so often where I want to just be a bit quirky and put a joke in the email. I'm like, no, that's not the place for this in my head. And it's a struggle. Yeah.
It is.
I'm not expecting you to name names on this question unless you really want to, but what have been your best and your worst experiences of being led?
So the worst, and I think everyone can kind of say to this one, is micromanaged. Like micromanaged down to, should I use the word or the? It's like it. We're in the weeds, so far in the weeds, and it makes you feel so devalued because, like I had mentioned before, I'm hired because of my expertise and the value I bring. So if I'm being micromanaged, then you are just using me as an outlet. You're not using me and my value. So why am I here? Anybody could do this. So that would be definitely the worst, micromanaged. And the best, I would say, would be working with someone who was like levels above me, that sat and looked me in the eye, treated me as a peer, treated my opinions with value. And even if like I started and pointing this way and they took me to point to that way, I still at the end was like, that was an amazing experience to be treated fairly and on the same level. Even though I didn't have that experience yet, that brings value to me as a human. So I really love that.
Yes to both. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, to say the micromanager, I once had a boss who, like, literally every written communication, no matter how small and trivial, insisted on proofreading it before anyone was allowed to send anything. And then it got worse over time to the point that he was writing the emails, sending them to you to send to others. And you're like, I'm not really needed in this loop, am I? Like, why are you just like, either let me do it or do it yourself? Like, why is this happening? Yeah. And what you were saying earlier about like valuing time, the money that was being wasted doing that in terms of the time, because obviously you're sitting there waiting while he's writing the thing.
Yeah.
You've got nothing else to do. You can't progress until the thing's done and sent. So you just sat there getting paid to do nothing, which I'm okay with, if I'm honest. Like,
well, but that feeling where you're like, why am I here?
Yeah.
Why am I here?
Yeah.
And devalued and just, and then it's like everything you do is wrong. Well, when micromanagers never point out the things you do right, because they're always like, have the puppet strings on you. And it's like, well, I'd rather go someplace where, because you can't grow in that environment. You're never allowed to expand because you can't even take the seat you were given.
Yeah. And you can't make mistakes either.
Yeah.
And I think that's the contrast, isn't it, to that second type of leader who really is a leader, as opposed to the other one who I would argue is not.
Yeah.
It's, if things do get, like, they give you that space to go and make the mistakes. And when the mistakes inevitably happen, because they will, because we're all people and humans and that's how we work. Instead of being like, next time they're going to proofread all your work. So it will be more like a conversation of, okay, well, what did we learn?
Exactly.
How will we do it differently next time? And it's the use of that we word that's telling, I find.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very important.
Yeah. Anyway. All right. 2 questions left. I think they're quite difficult. Not everyone agrees with me. We'll see how you get on. So the first one is the time travel question. So if you could go back in time to the start of your career, what would you say to your younger self?
That's a hard one, because I started in the music industry and went into marketing. So almost, I don't want to say they're polar opposites, but they can be. But I think I'm just going to go with the marketing. So Cyber PR Army, what I do, I would tell myself to be weirder and more authentic and not afraid of the things that made me, because I really tried to, when I started the company and started working in the non-arts section, I tried to sanitize that part of myself. It didn't exist, because I thought, I can't be this rock and roll chick that's running a marketing agency. Nobody's going to take me seriously. But it was that grounded people and attracted people to what I was doing. So if I had leaned into all these things that I loved, I would have attracted even more of my ideal client. So yeah, I think I would have said, just be weird and enjoy it.
I think that's good advice for everyone.
Yeah.
Business owner or not, leader or not, just be weirder. That's what the world's here for. Be weird. Go for it. And you're right. Like, not saying that just a normal digital marketing company, isn't interesting, but one run by an ex-rocker, I mean, that's way more interesting. Of course, that's going to work better. Like,
yeah, it has more story, but it didn't place value on it, or I guess I didn't accept it, or I don't know. I have to go back in time and ask myself why I made that decision, but I'm happy now that I've embraced it.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. If you could go back, just let us know how that goes. And let me borrow the time machine as well. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. It's, I don't know, maybe like the context of the world and work itself was different then as well. Because I think there have been a lot of changes, even in like the last 5 years with COVID and everything. It's had an impact, hasn't it? I think people are a lot more open to that sort of thing now.
Yeah.
So, not to make excuses for past Lynn, but,
Thank you.
Okay, last question. My favorite one usually as well. It's leadership heroes.
Leadership heroes.
So if you had to pick one person, but it could be literally anyone you could think of, they could be alive or dead, past or present, real or even fictitious, but it's got to be someone who would perfectly embody leadership. Who would that be for you and why?
So that's I'm a huge anime fan. So it's like, so many. It could be like, I'm looking right now, I have a figurine of Rengoku from Demon Slayer right there. I'm like, oh, he's a pretty good one. Or Eraserhead or Deku but I think I would choose a Disney character. I know. And you know what? She's almost a Disney princess. So I think I would choose Moana because Moana, she listened to her elders. She respected them. She respected culture. She respected tradition, but she challenged the system when things needed to change and they weren't ready to change. And she knew what had to be done, but she didn't even know what the outcome would be. She had to get out there on the ocean and cross it. And she was scared and nobody was really supporting her, but she's like, I just know, I know this is good for us because where we are now, we can't sustain it. So she doesn't lead or take this leap because she wants power. She doesn't want to run the tribe. She doesn't want to run her community. She doesn't even want her family to move, but she cares so deeply for them and their future that she's willing to take that risk and to move forward. And she didn't have the answer. She didn't know what was beyond. And when she got in the boat, what was going to happen, but she knew she had to try and she had to make that move. So it was about her being brave enough to leave that reef and wise enough to make good decisions on her journey. So that to me, leaders aren't necessarily the ones that are around and leading all the time. They're the really great ones are the ones that stand up when everything hits the fan and are just like, I don't have the answers, but I'm going to go look for them. That to me is a really good character.
Yeah, that combination of like courage and honesty, I think you're right. I think that's what makes the lead, especially in those crisis moments when people are really looking for leadership and have their own worries. And yeah, I like it. I don't think I've seen the film.
Oh, you gotta.
They've just done a live action version, haven't they?
Yeah, I haven't watched that one. But the Moana one, it's beautiful music. It's got a beautiful, braiding of the culture of her wanting to do this for her community and them saying, well, this is not the way we do it. And then her going out and finding out what's beyond the reef and by finding answers, she found answers she didn't want and she found answers she did want and she adapted and she saved her community. So that to me, it's a good story.
Spoilers.
Well, I did give you a bit of a spoiler, but the journey is worth it. It's one of those,
Right.
It's not the destination, it's the journey.
Okay. I'll let you off then. And I think you get bonus points because I don't think anyone else has chosen before. So
yeah.
Well done. There you go. One of these days, someone is going to pick Darth Vader. It's going to happen. I'm waiting for it.
Yeah. But
Might have to.
Yeah, he's like a bit easy because of the power and the rise and the drive. So it's easy to kind of do that. I mean,
he's two characters really as well. So that's kind of a cheat,
yeah.
isn't it? But
yeah, it gets complicated.
It does. Anyway, lovely. Well, Lynn, thank you so much for being with us today. I hope you've enjoyed the conversation as much as I have. One final thing I will ask you is if anyone in the audience wants to learn more about you, perhaps investigate working with you, or they just want to know more about AI, where can they find you?
They can find me. I have a special page set up. So it's cyberprarmy.com/thecastle. And on it is a whole bunch of freebies. You find out how to work with me, how to set up your company, which is the first steps. And it's a great spot to just get clarity on what your next move should be.
Great. Well, I will make sure the link goes in the show notes somewhere down there so you can find it easily. Lovely. Well, thank you again so much. I know you've got another meeting to get to, so I will let you go and have a great rest of your day.
Cheers. We'll talk to you later.
Lynn, thank you again so much. What a great conversation. Loved that. Hopefully there's some very pleased Battlestar Galactica fans in the audience today as well, or sci-fi fans if not. And listener or viewer, as promised, do check those show notes for the links to Lynn's website, find her on LinkedIn, etc. It's all in those show notes down there. Check them out, click on the links, and go and learn more things. If you are new to leadership or you're in a transition moment in your leadership career, perhaps you're a first-time manager, you've started your first business, you're growing a team for the first time, or you've recently taken on similar new levels of responsibility and you are finding it tough to survive in that outer space, desolate world of leadership where it's lonely at the top and you constantly have this feeling of trying to make it up as you go. If that sounds familiar, then I invite you to come and join my Integrity Leaders online community. Step aboard the Starship Integrity. It is designed specifically for people in your position, new founders, first-time managers, fledgling leaders. Join us today. You can be part of a supportive community where you gain clarity on your leadership so you can lead with confidence, get rid of those imposter feelings and that worry that you're always making it up. It's a safe, non-judgy space where questions are encouraged, experiences can be shared, and everyone there gets it. It also offers a wide range of exclusive leadership resources from documents, blogs, courses, articles, and not to forget early access to this Leading with Integrity podcast as well. Get every episode the week before anyone else does. To learn more, visit www.leadingwithintegrity.co.uk. You will find a big green button on the homepage there. Feel free to explore the rest of the site as well. But click on that green button, you'll be taken to the sign-up page for the community. And don't forget to use your listener or viewer exclusive discount code as well for 50% off your monthly membership fee. Also in the show notes and on the screen if you're watching. If that website and the landing pages and so on don't give you the information you seek before signing up, do find me on LinkedIn as well. Drop me a message. Let's have a conversation about it. More than happy to answer any questions you have or just talk about leadership because you know by now I love doing that. That's all from me today. Hope to see you soon in Integrity Leaders. And failing that, join me again next week when I will be talking to Albert Bramante about his experiences of leadership, psychology, self-sabotaging behavior, and his career in the entertainment industry. And until then, have a great rest of your week and be a leader, not a boss.